But now for a top story. Hillary Clinton, just 1 week before Election Day, is facing another FBI investigation into her emails. The FBI obtained a warrant to search a laptop of Anthony Weiner, which supposedly contains emails of Clinton campaign aide Huma Abedin. Abedin and Weiner were married, but are separated after Weiner was involved in multiple sexting scandals. The laptop in question was seized as part of the investigation into said scandals, but was then found to contain these new emails. The emails are being searched to determine if they contain classified information, but Hillary Clinton insists that the FBI has no case.
Now they apparently want to look at emails of one of my staffers, and by all means, they should look at them. And I am sure they will reach the same conclusion they did when they looked at my emails for the last year. There is no case here.
FBI Director James Comey is under fire in the midst of this new scandal as he disclosed to lawmakers that there was another email investigation when there is so little time before the election. It is believed by Democrats that there is not enough time to properly draw any conclusions from the investigation before Election Day and that Comey made a mistake by disclosing the information. Republicans, on the other hand, are insisting that there is just another reason not to trust Hillary Clinton. Sean, do you think this is going to affect voters before the big day, or do you think we're too far in?
I think that we're too far in at this point. A lot of people have really made up their minds, and for an investigation to really be brought to completion and have a decisive decision made, I think it's going to happen past the 8th.
I completely agree, Sean. But there's a lot going on in the U.S. and the world outside of the election, and for that, we go to news correspondent Moses Small.
Thanks, Sean and Claire. There's a lot of news this morning, and here are the day's developing stories. Back in January, brothers Ammon and Ryan Bundy made news at the Malheur Wildlife Refuge in Oregon by holding an armed protest for 6 weeks. On Thursday, they were acquitted of charges of taking over federal property. The acquittals are a surprise to some, as the two brothers and the other 5 defendants were cleared of all charges except for theft of government property when they removed cameras of the wildlife base. Prosecutors argued that they used threats of violence to occupy the park, but the jury was more swayed by the defendants, who said that they were protesting overreach of the federal government. Oregon Governor Kate Brown expressed disappointment, saying that the protest didn't represent the values of the state. You're not alone if you've seen Standing Rock, North Dakota come up on your Facebook timeline recently. Boston will be having a Standing Rock support rally tonight at 5:30 to show solidarity with the Standing Rock Sioux tribe as they protest the construction of an oil pipeline. This and other rallies are part of a larger effort to demonstrate against the Dakota Access Pipeline. People are taking to Facebook as well and checking into Standing Rock to confuse authorities who are trying to get a count of demonstrators. This all started with a crowdsourcing campaign that grew to over $3 million and sparked demonstrations across the country. To learn more about the rally in Boston, you can see its event page on Facebook. Sharbat Gula was the face of one of the most famous National Geographic magazine covers in 1985 and was arrested in Peshawar, Pakistan on Wednesday. Gula became symbolic of the conflict in Afghanistan when she was photographed as a refugee 31 years ago. After a year of investigation, she was arrested in Pakistan for obtaining false country IDs, facing up to 14 years in prison if sentenced. Steve McCurry, the photographer that brought Gula to prominence, expressed outrage at her arrest and wants to send legal aid for her and her family. There are estimates that up to 1 million other Afghans have used fake ID cards as Pakistan picks up in its effort to repatriate all of its refugees. 17-year-old Gavin Grimm is a transgender student from Virginia and a plaintiff in a Supreme Court case about bathroom use. His family sued Gloucester High School a year ago for the right to use a bathroom that matches his gender identity, and this case is being reviewed by the Supreme Court. Grimm gave a speech about his experience after the hearing with his school board, so let's take a look.
Bullying is already an enormous problem for high school-aged youth, and especially transgender youth. To hear adults of my community treat me as if I was a creature for their ridicule and observation or some oddity on a stage was incredibly dehumanizing to an extent I could not possibly convey.
Grimm is testifying against the Gloucester, Virginia School Board in a case that could affect others to come, and this story will develop as this case continues. That's all the news I have for you today. Back to Sean and Claire at the desk.
Thanks, Moses. Do you think that system we just implemented at Emerson College with gender-neutral bathrooms, gender diversity and all that, do you think we could implement a system like that in public schools?
I think that it is a feasible idea. It's definitely a trend that's catching on around the country, and I think if it's going to happen in one major city first, it should be Boston.
Thanks, Moses.